unconditional to appearances. So I've been having a lot of conversations with individuals lately about I am fulfilled. We've been saying I am fulfilled, knowing that fulfillment is true nature. And abiding as I am, fulfilled, results in the individual being unconditional to appearances. This is very beneficial for personal magnetism. And why would I say that? Well, if you look at an individual who is magnetic, truly authentically magnetic, you will see symbols of fulfillment that is inherent, that is beyond condition. For example, the individual remains fulfilled whether or not another individual gives them a compliment. So they're not looking around for approval, validation, confirmation of being fulfilled in the moment. So unconditional to appearances refers to maintaining a state of not being dependent on outward appearances, circumstances, or external conditions. It refers to an inner state of being that remains consistent and unwavering regardless of what is happening externally. Now, this inner state of being is the result of going straight to and abiding as the source, acknowledging I am fulfilled. This releases identification to dichotomous thinking-based beliefs. For example, that could play out as the individual putting a condition. A condition would be something like, if another individual gives them a compliment, then that indicates that they are loved, that they are fulfilled. If the individual does not give them a compliment, then they think that they are not fulfilled. Truly, they exist beyond thinking, fulfilled. Yet it can only not appear that way to the individual based on black and white thinking. It's either this way, which compliment equals fulfillment, or that way, no compliment equals lack of fulfillment. The appearances of an individual giving them a compliment is what the individual that thinks is determining what fulfillment means to them. More accurately, they are assigning the individual meaning, which is conditional, to appearance of, if I get a compliment, then I am fulfilled. If I don't get a compliment, then I am not fulfilled. If true nature is fulfillment, as in I am fulfilled, then that is an untrue belief. I like how it was also referred to in the Principle of Polarity chapter in the Kabbalah. It states, everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature, but different in degree. Extremes meet. All truths are but half-truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. This is referring to all truths being half-truths in the individual mind. Yet, fundamentally, everything is reconciled now, fulfilled. This results in authentic personal magnetism. When the individual knows that I am fulfilled, the I rests assured knowing that I am fulfillment. As I always say, I am love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. And we can add beyond appearances, or regardless of appearances, or beyond individual, the I, interpretation of appearances, which can be conditional. So let's talk about how we can apply this so that we can remain abiding as the fulfilled being I am. This conversation was something that I shared with a number of clients regarding remaining fulfilled when it came to relationships, romantic relationships. See, they were based on a condition, a belief that they were identified with, the individual was identified with in mind, a subconscious belief that was resulting in the appearance of, for example, if a particular person they were interested in would call them, that would indicate to the individual that they were loved. If that individual did not call them, the individual would think that that would indicate that they were not loved. The reality is, I am love. I am love beyond condition. I am beyond conditions. The individual may generate conditions, yet I am beyond conditions. Knowing that I am beyond conditions, the power appears that way as others appearing to reveal the true nature. So then what happens is it plays out once they realize that I am fulfilled. It plays out automatically as fulfilling, harmonious, loving relationships in increasing frequency on a continuous basis. They have released identification to that dichotomous belief from which they seem to think that based on an appearance, it determines if they are fulfilled. So what I encourage is remaining unconditionally as I am to appearances. So one of the things that we could do is detach from appearances. As you hear me say a lot lately, releasing identification to appearances. This is something that I've been practicing for many years now. When I started this channel, for example, in 2013, I had transitioned from my IT business, and actually at that time, my very first video, I actually bought a one-way ticket to Austria with my ex-girlfriend at the time. I gave away all my possessions, and I only owned what was in that backpack. And I made a video discussing that. Why did I do that? Even though the business was built to success and I could accumulate more material objects, which nothing wrong with that. For me, there was not a genuine desire to do that. And part of that is I am not identified with appearances, which we can call material objects, appearances as well. And being not identified with appearances in that way, I did not feel restricted that I could go on to the next phase in my life with a blank canvas, which is what I truly desired to do. So many areas of my life throughout the years, I've practiced detaching from appearances, releasing identification to appearances. For an individual may earn a wonderful income, have a lot of material possessions, yet they have formed an identity around those objects, around those appearances. And if for whatever the reason there's a fluctuation or a change in appearances, the individual may feel like they have lost something. The reality is they haven't lost anything truly, for they are unconditionally fulfilled. I and the Father are one. I am fulfilled, love, happiness, peace, bliss, beyond condition. So the practice of detaching from appearances, very practically, if an individual is thinking about their past in a way that is related to an identity that they formed around their past, and they're trying to maintain that persona in the present moment, that would not be considered personally magnetic. The magnetic individual is present to the moment and is relating to the appearances, including conversations with other people, from the premise of fulfilled desire, fulfillment. The individual desires to acknowledge that they are fulfilled, which is why we teach in our Neville Goddard conversations. Desire means having. Anytime a desire arises, thank you, I have. That is actually second point number 2, which I'd like to touch upon in a moment, which, let's bring it up. Prayer, as we talked about a number of videos ago, which I'll link to in the description. Prayer is acknowledgement of that I am, as it says in Mark 11:24. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. In other words, I am fulfilled, and fulfillment appears in and as the outer appearances of life in increasing frequency on a continuous basis. So when I go back to my previous example of starting the channel and giving away or selling the various things that I owned at that time, it was intentional. It was intentional because I knew in my heart that there was a next phase for me, an exciting phase, which for about 10 years, I was traveling a lot. I was living out of different countries. I was doing consulting. It was a wonderful experience for me to do that. Now, this is true for my personal experiences. It may be true for how you desire to live. It may not be. That's up to you to choose your form of living that is from the premise of fulfillment. One individual's style of fulfillment may be different from another individual's style of fulfillment. No shame, no condemnation. Go within, know that I am, and understand what I am. Being fulfilled means to you, the individual, as that I am, is the source and substance of the entire phenomena of life, the cause and the invisible supply of all prosperity that has ever been actualized. Knowing that I am, love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, I lack nothing, as I and the Father are one. So, by shifting your focus to the present now, the individual releases identification to past beliefs, which they may have formed an identity in that past, revealed in those beliefs, which can result in attachment to appearances, material objects, people, environments, conditions, etc., which, if those conditions do not appear the way the individual determines they should appear, then the individual may think that they are not fulfilled. The reality is that they are fulfilled. I am fulfilled. I am completeness, wholeness, have everything, and thus I am fulfilled. And the same can be said about the future. If the individual thinks of the future from the premise of not being fulfilled, then they may be identified with an appearance of the future, indicating to themselves that if this condition is not met in the future, then they cannot be fulfilled. Knowing that I am fulfilled, how could they not be fulfilled? They have perhaps not realized that I am. So it is key then to be still and know that I am, and actually surrender to that I am by being still. As an individual remains still, abiding as I am, they feel fulfilled, which was part of the conversations that we were having, which was, how does the individual remain fulfilled when there is an appearance that indicates that they are not fulfilled? And so my response was, who determines that the appearance indicates that the individual is not fulfilled? in which the obvious answer then is the individual determines that. So in the moments when they abide as I am, they feel fulfilled. They acknowledge, I am fulfilled. Yet in those moments where it appears there's a condition that they placed on an appearance, which is revealed. As mentioned, appearances, environment, circumstance, people can reveal what has been identified with by the individual. Is it from the premise of truth? Being as I am, love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment? Or is it revealing identification to an untrue belief in which the individual formed a false identity around? Knowing the true identity, being one with the Father, I am, the individual remains fulfilled regardless of conditions, regardless of what the individual places as conditions, which are the beliefs being revealed. So in that moment, I recommend it, which has been a practice for me over the years, to shift my focus to the present now. Regardless of this appearance, I am fulfilled now. Now is where all the power is. The infinite power is now, available now. And knowing that I am, the infinite power is available now. The individual detaches from appearances, releases identification to those appearances. So if we go back to the Kabbalion passage where it says everything is dual, it is speaking about the world of appearances. I and the Father are one. I am fulfilled, and thus witness life unconditionally, beyond condition, unconditional love, unconditional happiness, unconditional bliss, unconditional fulfillment, and experiences that with the appearances, unconditionally. And so through this practice, the individual realizes that I am in that regard, because maybe it is easy for them in one appearance to remain personally magnetic, unconditional to appearances. Yet in another appearance, it could be challenging. That's okay. No shame, no condemnation. Allow the emotions to be. Allow the thoughts to be. Allow the appearances to be. Be still and know that I am fulfilled. Shift your focus to the present now. This allows you to detach from appearances. Then, as you live on purpose, what you notice is that if there's a change in your life where you're inspired to go in a direction which may involve radically changing your life around, you are not attached to appearances. And this practice of being this way, authentic way of being, which is truly detached from appearances, results in wonderful life experiences. The world may appear to change, the appearances appear to change. What does it change to appear as? It changes to appear as true nature. I am fulfilled. And so number 2, surrender to I am. And the way you can do this is, again, by being still in the moment in relation to the appearance. If the individual experiences reactivity in relation to what someone says, what someone does, what they don't do, what they don't say, etc., they can surrender to I am. It's a form of prayer. Like, for example, when we say in Mark 11:24, therefore I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. The symbol of believing that you have received it is surrender to I am by being still. Certainly, you can pray as though. Imagine what implies. Suggest something within. Thank you, I have. I am grateful. I am fulfilled. I am love. I am happiness. And you may also say, beyond condition, I am. That's a form of prayer. Prayer is acknowledgement of knowing that I am fulfilled, love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. I am fulfilled. This practice allows the individual to release identification to the beliefs in mind in which they form the false identity around, which may contain beliefs that are not true and authentic, to love, happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. And as they remain unconditional to appearances, the individual transforms to be as I am, personally magnetic, in wonderful relationships with other people, personal life, business life, romantic life, etc. The third is being in gratitude. This one is very helpful for individuals that would like to form logical conclusions to the realization that I am fulfilled. As mentioned, you can capture the feeling of fulfillment and abide in that feeling now. I am fulfilled. You can remain as I am, be as I am, being still, knowing that I am fulfilled. Happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment, regardless of interpretation of what implies being as I am, being still. You can, if the individual finds it beneficial, to, in mind, form connections in relation to personal magnetism. So here are some ways you could do this. Number one is gratitude journaling. You can note the various areas of your life that you're grateful for every day that are symbols of knowing that I am fulfilled. So, for example, if you notice yesterday, you were being conditional to an appearance, whether someone called you at a particular time or not, indicating to yourself that this would determine whether you are fulfilled or not. But today, you notice that regardless of the appearances, you remain fulfilled in that regard. You could write that down. You could say, in this particular situation, I remain fulfilled. Number two, gratitude autosuggestions. Autosuggestions are acknowledgement of that which you are. You are fulfilled. Happiness, peace, bliss, fulfillment. Again, Mark 11:24 articulates autosuggestions precisely. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. So you can say, I realize more so each moment that I am fulfilled as I remain unconditional to appearances in romantic relationships, in personal relationships with this individual, with that individual. And it appears this way more so as we relate harmoniously from the premise of fulfillment. Number three, gratitude meditation. You may meditate upon the statement, I am fulfilled. 5-10 minutes abiding in that feeling. Meditating upon I am fulfilled. They realize that I am fulfilled. They emotionally start relating that way to the experiences in their life. They know they think clearly and precisely. The still small voice, which speaks from clarity, arises from the silence. And they have clear, accurate thinking in relation to appearances. It's similar to Emmett Fox, The Golden Key, which we've done a discussion on. I'll link in the description to it. Number four is gratitude visualization. So I made a video last week on visualization. I'll link in the description to it. I trust you'll find it to be very helpful. The way I practice it is I visualize myself in a conversation with another person, giving gratitude to the wonderful experiences that I have. And I can even do that imagining myself, talking to myself after having gone through the experience, such as, isn't it wonderful that I feel fulfilled after, and you can name whatever kind of experience or appearance in which the individual prior did not experience fulfillment in. So, for example, one of the ways that I applied this for personal magnetism, acknowledging I am fulfilled, is I visualized myself saying to myself, isn't it wonderful that I feel fulfilled regardless of the condition? They called me, I am fulfilled. They didn't call me, I am fulfilled. The wonderful benefit of this practice is that it automatically appears more so in increasing frequency on a continuous basis as symbols of being fulfilled. So it's interesting. The individual becomes unconditionally fulfilled by knowing that I am fulfilled, regardless of the appearance. If the other individual said that they like them or don't like them, and those appearances rearrange to more so each day in increasing frequency on a continuous basis, people appearing in authentic ways of fulfillment. Harmonious, loving relationships that are mutually supportive, etc., which are, you could say, personally magnetic actualizations of knowing that I am fulfilled. So again, detach from appearances, release identification to appearances, that it needs to be one way or another to determine if you are fulfilled. You are eternally fulfilled as I and the Father are one. I am fulfilled, regardless of appearances. The practice, releasing identification, being still during appearances in which the individual is thinking about their past or future in an inharmonious way, implying that they are not fulfilled. That is an untrue belief. Be still and know that I am fulfilled. Number 2, surrender to I am. Again, Mark 11:24. Therefore, I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. Again, watch the video we did on prayer, speaking about it in this way. I'll link in the description to it. And then gratitude. Gratitude for the appearances, the changes that are true, that are appearances of I am fulfilled. And as we give gratitude to those appearances, it is a form of prayer as well. It is a form of realizing that I am truly fulfilled and appears more so in increasing frequency on a continuous basis. So I trust you found this video to be helpful. Let's conclude this with an auto-suggestion to further encourage. You could say, as I remain still, I realize that I am fulfilled. As I remain as I am, I realize each moment now that I am fulfilled. From the foundation of being fulfilled, I may relate truly, ideally, and purely to what appears from the premise of truth, knowing that I am fulfilled, as I rest assured knowing that I am fulfilled, which appears in increasing frequency on a continuous basis as appearances of my inner true nature being fulfilled. If you would like a copy of this mind map, the link is in the description. Thank you very much for watching. I'll talk with you soon. Take care.